What is going on, everybody? Welcome into the Tim Warren Show, and what a great day to be live here once again. Crypto is booming right now. All of the losses we've had from the last couple of days have been regained here within the last 24 hours. And in today's show, I'm going to break down what is happening on the charts, what you're looking at, what are some key resistance levels. We're going to take a look at a couple altcoins to keep an eye on. I talked about some last week. We're going to add a couple to that list that you should be watching in the month of December, and I'll explain why. The biggest reason is there's some pretty big headlines that are catapulting the prices back up. Ultimately, though, what's happening? More people are buying than selling. But as I'll continue to preach for a while, I still think this plays out the narrative of a hefty manipulation happening within the crypto markets. I'm going to address some of those comments here later on in the show because I have been getting some interesting discussions over on X about what's going on with my claims of manipulation. So stick around for that. If you enjoy our content, make sure to smash the like button and do me a favor. Check right now. Are you subscribed to the channel? I know some of you watch every single day and you've never looked down to see if you're actually subscribed. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Really helps us out. Let's get up over 100,000 in the next couple of months. Today's show, I'm going to do the best I can to keep it closer to 20 minutes. But honestly, there's so many topics. We're probably stretching a little further out towards 30 minutes, but stick with me. It'll all be very important. Watch everything. Don't come in and just look at the charts or the first headline and dip, right? I have a lot of very important pieces of information. I'm going to save the altcoins of interest for the end of the show. That doesn't mean the middle part's boring. It means stick around because there's a whole lot we've got to get into. Let's go to the charts here. Let's go ahead and dive right on in. Let me know where you guys are coming and watching from today as we are live. Bitcoin has made its way back up. It just dropped back down below before we went live, but we went back above 92,000 here today on Bitcoin's chart. Altcoins are running up as well, but Bitcoin right now is going pretty high. And one of the biggest things that we know Bitcoin is the one kind of being the big catalyst here is the Bitcoin dominance chart is rising as well. It's back up above 59.6%. It's had some big moves here over the last couple of days. And this just kind of further goes on to say, while we have been waiting and hoping for an altcoin season to come at some point, this is not the altcoin season. Why? Because it seems like every time the price corrects, Bitcoin dominance corrects. When price goes back to the upside, Bitcoin dominance goes back to the upside. That is a sign right now that Bitcoin is being heavily manipulated. It's being sold in bunches. It's being bought up in bunches. And altcoins are just kind of getting drug around behind. When we fall to the downside, they don't get sold off as severely. But when we go to the upside, they also aren't getting bought up as much severely. I think that will change in the future. There's especially a couple of altcoins, I think, that are very special rallies coming for them. But if you're sitting here saying, Tim, is the altcoin season here? Not quite yet. More than likely, as I've said now for the last couple of weeks, last couple of months, well, I thought it might have happened earlier this year, thought maybe it would happen later this year. They keep kicking that can down the road. More than likely, a true altcoin season where Bitcoin kind of maybe pauses, altcoins start to run like crazy, probably waiting till sometime in Q1 of 2026, still in my personal opinion. And that's, of course, if we don't enter into a full-blown bear market. Some of you think we're in one. Some of you think we're going down. I am not ruling out the potential. I think there is a chance that we are in a bear market. I just don't think that's the most likely outcome. I still think that this has been a big manipulated move to shake out weak retail investors so that institutions can buy these dips and head to the upside, right? And I'm going to discuss that through some of the stories we have going on today. I'll have to discuss it even more tomorrow and Thursday and Friday. Again, trying to keep this show tighter, more concise, keep it to 20 to 30 minutes. But I do want to continue to stress the evidence playing out of manipulation is just in our faces. And you can call me crazy and you can say, Tim, stop saying manipulation is responsible for every move. Guys, manipulation is responsible for all of these chaotic moves. It comes down to who's buying and who's selling. Today, they are buying. We're going to look at some other altcoins here later on in the show, but I want to take a look at some of the key indicators, just remind you guys where we are right now. Love my flow signals, love traditional indicators. MACD on the daily chart, still bullish. RSI still has a long way to go to the upside. We are so far from a bearish divergence on the daily chart. And oh, by the way, the daily buy signal that did come into play here back on November 24th. I told you, look out for that misdirection move. Well, it turns out yesterday's wick down to 83,900 was the misdirection move. We're back to being bullish here. You can see on the 4-hour chart as well. If you look at the 4-hour chart now, it triggered a buy signal from the flow signals. We got that green reversal. We had bullish divergence. We had a positive money flow here. We had a nice buy signal come in here earlier this morning, or excuse me, late yesterday afternoon after the show was over. And then boom, now all of a sudden, Bitcoin is back up above 90K. We still got some work to do. There still are some levels to the upside. Later on the show, I'm going to show you some altcoin levels to be aware of. When it comes to Bitcoin, I've told you before, I think that we really are going to probably make a strong move, at least back up to the 200-day SMA. It will not be at 109 by the time we make contact. I still think somewhere between 103 to 105 is a much more reasonable thought process when it comes to where we could run into that 200-day SMA. Very, very important. With that said, though, I want to make sure you're aware of some resistance levels. If you are trading these markets with us, if you're in our VIP trading group or you want to get into that VIP trading group, I want you to be clear here. I posted this to our chat earlier. We got some pro traders in there doing a phenomenal job getting in and out on some scalping opportunities. But I said there's a key level. Not telling you to enter a short at this level. I'm telling you, you might want to look at some profit taking on this order block right behind or right beneath the daily smart trail in this realm of 96,600. That order block is something to absolutely keep an eye on. I'm not saying we're done there. I'm just saying more than likely we should hesitate before continuing to the upside, or maybe you even see a small little regrouping, a higher lows in place, and then you make your move to the upside. But watch out for that resistance level. There will be some sell orders posted even right now at 96.6. I do recommend people taking a little bit of profit at that level. If you get a correction, you can buy back in at lower price. Great. If you don't correct and we just shoot to the upside, well, don't take all of your profit yet on this long, because like I said, there's still a lot of signs pointing towards Bitcoin getting back above 100K, even under a bear market scenario. It's called a dead cat bounce, a recovery bounce. We will decide what happens when we run into that 200-day SMA. We will decide, do we reject off of it and start a bear market, or do we break through and the bull market is back on? That is going to be the big question. Before we get into the news story, I want to make sure I cover this, though. If you love these indicators, if you watch every single day and you're saying, man, I love this indicator, I love Tim's insight, I would love to know how to trade with him. Let me show you a success story we've had. This was really awesome. I love seeing messages like this. The other day, one of our newer members, so he just joined here within the last week or so, said, keep the entries coming. I just happened to get into the last alert for Bitcoin while I was walking the dogs, came in, checked the charts, and followed your lead. I've never made 10K in 10 minutes before. Yeah, the subscription just paid for itself. Thank you, VIP group. There's plenty of other stories just like this. And right now, you guys can act for the next 3 days. You can get up to 50% off. You can choose 33% off and just do month to month for 3 months. Get 33% off. Use code BF33. Or when you go into the WAP account and you want a full 50% off, go to the year-long membership. Choose any of them, the Essentials, the Academy, Gem Hunters. All of them are 50% off. The price you see in there, right? You'll see 60 or 150 or 300. It's 50% off that price. Just make sure to use code BF50 to get your spot in the VIP trading group today. Let's get into the stories, though. Let's get into some of the stories of what's going on and why crypto is rallying. I'm going to save the altcoin story. There's a story about altcoins. That is another big reason we're pumping today. I'm going to save that towards the back end of the story. So stick around. Don't go anywhere. But one of the biggest things happening, we've been monitoring this, talking about it for a long time. Quantitative tightening was discussed a month and some change ago that was ending on December 1st. Well, that happened last night. But something that kind of slipped under the radar is that when we got out of quantitative tightening, some of you remember I talked about this yesterday, ending quantitative tightening is not a full-blown stop to liquidity exiting. Exit liquidity leaving the markets. It's more like saying, hey, we're going to apply the brakes to a train that's running down a track. So technically speaking, QT is not completely over. They started slowing it down last night. However, while we have not entered into official quantitative easing, we are seeing the second time in the last month, the Fed has begun to inject liquidity into the market. So in that train scenario, QT is applying the brakes. Putting liquidity in is like trying to throw that train into reverse to stop it even faster. And yesterday, the Fed just pumped $13.5 billion into U.S. banks through the overnight repos. Why does this matter? This is one of the largest emergency liquidity injections since 2020. The repo demand this high usually means funding stress behind the scenes. Levels are now above the dot-com bubble peaks. Big liquidity equals some needed cash fast. No matter what it means money is coming back into the markets. That is a big reason why we are pumping here today. Some other big stories I want to cover, though. That's not the only one. This came out here earlier today, and I want to kind of sit on this for a second because this is something we mentioned a long time ago, almost a year ago at this point, and is coming back up. Now, I want to start by saying I have no expectation of this taking place anytime soon, meaning next couple of weeks or even the next couple of months. In fact, I would be surprised if this even is finished by 2026. But President Trump came out today saying that soon, what does soon mean? And he says not so distant future, there will be no income tax at some point in the not so distant future. A lot of people like to read those stories and say, man, does that mean next week? Does that mean a month from now? No, more than likely, in my personal opinion, I have no basis for this, but it's just kind of, I think logically what this is implying. Trump can't himself stop income tax. He can't just go out an executive order saying no more income tax. This is going to depend upon the rest of the U.S. government agreeing with it. Now, it's really cool. It's really exciting. But unless he gets Congress's support, this is not going to happen. I would venture to say, and you could disagree with me, but I would venture to say if this bill was put on the table today, the current sitting members probably will not go for it. We probably will not see this pass through Washington get accepted. Is this the beginning step of Donald Trump's platform for the Republican Party to win the midterms in the fall of 2026 by running on no more income tax? It's pretty hard. There's a lot of people out there that don't vote who would vote for a situation like that. There's a lot of people who kind of sit in the middle of the aisle. They're not really Republican or Democrat. They would vote for something like that. Any congressman or woman or senator running against that platform would almost instantly be demonized by their own voters. So it's an interesting political play he has right here. And I want to say one more thing about it. You know, earlier this year, I'm not going to sugarcoat this or beat around it. I don't love to be political here, but sometimes you have to be political. I vocalized that I'm not necessarily anti-tariffs. Tariffs in 2025 did cause a lot of havoc, especially to my crypto bags. My crypto bags would be a whole lot higher right now if Donald Trump had not instituted tariffs earlier this year in 2025. However, I still believe there's a world where we see a lot of profitability and a strong economy where tariffs are present, they pay for the government, and we remove income tax. And I think that could be a very good thing. But I also understand you can't flip the switch overnight. So where I sit with this story, I really hope it ends up coming true. I really do hope that tariffs stay in place and that this allows Donald Trump and the rest of the U.S. government to remove income tax completely. What I will say, if that is not successful, if we cannot remove income tax, we can't make it. We as the American people, we just saw it in 2025. We will not make it if we have to live in a world where we're both paying higher prices due to tariffs and paying ridiculous money in taxes. You can't have both. We can't have the switch overnight. It's got to be a process. But I want to see this develop and continue. I don't want to see this just be a way to go to get votes, and then like other politicians, he just sweeps it under the rugs and never does anything with it. If we're going to make this route, if we're going to go the route of tariffs, paying for government funding, get rid of income tax, and I think we'll be okay. Let me know in the comments, what do you guys think? I'm sure there's some people who disagree with that take, some people who love it. Either way, this is a boost of bullishness to the markets here because guess what? If you don't have to pay income tax, that's more money in your pockets. You can buy risky assets like crypto. Spent a little longer on that story than I thought I really should, but let's go on to the other stories. Some things that I think are very, very important to get on here. Bank of America. This is breaking news. They officially have been recommending clients to put up 4% of their portfolio into Bitcoin and crypto. Now, we're going to talk about this other news here in a second because this involves the cryptocurrencies here. This comes on the same day that Vanguard makes IBIT exposure available to its clients. More on that in a second. I think this is interesting, though, because there were stories last year where Bank of America and other large banks recommended a 2% part of your portfolio into crypto. Now they're doubling that up to 4%, despite the fact that the vast sentiment right now in the space is overly bearish. Maybe in our community, in our chat, maybe some of you guys have maintained a bullish approach. You're kind of on the same boat I am saying, man, I still think that we have a bull run coming. But if you look around the rest of the space, if you look around the internet, it is a bloodbath of bearishness out there, even with pumps like what we're seeing today. Maybe the bears are a little bit more quiet, but there's still a very large community thinking the bear market is here, everything's done and gone. And that kind of plays into what I've been saying for a long time. That's exactly where the composite man wants you to be. I'm not going to tell you that every single correction and every single rally is manipulated by the big boys, but I'm here to tell you, and people aren't going to like this, the majority of them are. The majority of big moves, whenever an institution or a large whale enters the space of any asset class, they will control the markets. That means they manipulate prices to the downside so that they can buy it cheap, and then they manipulate prices to the upside. What do? They say, all right, how do we get a position where we can take profit on an asset like Bitcoin or altcoins? Let's use our authority, use our control. Let's take advantage of the over bullishness of the sentiment of the space. Let's tell everybody to buy. So they buy our liquidity. They buy all of our assets. We can sell. We then crash the markets down, manipulation of price. We end shorts on it. And then we get them feeling so negative, so terrible. We tell them really bad things. And then boom, as they're selling off low levels, we buy up their dip and we manipulate the price back to the upside. Manipulation works both ways, up and down. I still think this whole chaotic story playing out right now is a whole lot of manipulation. But I think it's going to be interesting to see how this one plays out with the Bank of America now telling their clients to allocate 4% of their, or recommending, right? I don't know if they're, they can't tell their clients, can't make their clients do anything. They're recommending their clients put 4% of their portfolio into Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. Very interesting story. And if people listen, that could be very bullish long term. Some other big things happening here. The SEC chair, Paul Atkins, said that innovation exemption for crypto firms is coming in January. He was recently on CNBC, and in this clip, he's asked about what about the crypto regulation? What about the official bill kind of going through Congress right now? And he said, listen, I only have so much control over that. I'm doing what I can, but what I do have control over is making sure we have the proper exemptions for crypto. What does this mean? It means exemptions from that dApps and blockchains won't have to register as broker dealers, but they can offer many of the same services and play similar roles in finance. An easier path, an easier route leads to cheaper fees. More people will go this route. It is a big win for crypto, for dApps and blockchains long term, moving forward. It's so nice to be in a world right now where literally 1 calendar year ago, we were dealing with Gary Gensler and his fun people over at the SEC fighting crypto at every single turn. Now, all of a sudden, we are, I guess it wasn't 1 year, guys. He's been gone for longer than 1 year. Now we have an SEC that is finally working for and with the people to make sure that crypto is here to stay and be powerful in the United States. Let's keep going. Some other big stories. I teased at it, but this is possibly the biggest one of them all. Stick around here. Smash the like button right now. I'm about to tell you about some altcoins to keep an eye on. Some of them are repeats of what we talked about last week, but there's a couple new additions to add here as well. Big update yesterday. This literally broke almost, I think, within minutes of us finishing being live yesterday. So we weren't able to cover it on yesterday's live show. But Vanguard, we tweeted this out yesterday. Vanguard, the $11 trillion asset Vanguard, it now allows clients to buy crypto ETFs starting tomorrow. Of course, that was yesterday, so that's today it's going. This will create the bottom for Bitcoin price was our question. Guess what this means? What can you buy now with Vanguard? You can now buy Bitcoin. You can buy Ethereum. You can buy XRP. You can buy Solana, HBAR, and Chainlink. Last week, we told you, look out for Solana, Dogecoin, XRP, and Link. They had a lot of ETFs coming out, a lot of things that could happen in December. They were coins to watch. Well, guess what? Add to this list. Now, we already knew Ethereum was there. Add to this list, HBAR is another altcoin to keep an eye on. I'm going to look at a couple more stories here, and then we'll go look at some of those coins on the charts, look at some levels of resistance that could be a battling point for those moving forward. But Chainlink had more news here. It's not just Vanguard. There's also the Grayscale Chainlink that was live today. It has zero trading fees. The ticker GLNK. You can start trading that right now. Chainlink is one of the bigger winners of the day when it comes to altcoins. Last one I'm taking a look at here, Ethereum. This is a post from our good friend Crux of Crypto. Make sure you're following him on X. Follow him and subscribe to his channel on YouTube. He puts out some great stuff. Now, Crux is a little more bearish than I am. He's in a middle boat. He says we could be in a bull market, could be in a bear market, but he had a phenomenal observation that he put out on Twitter here today as Ethereum was up 10% intraday. He said the last time Ethereum sent for 10% intraday, it full sent for months after. Now, of course, he's talking about it. He did a little good work here with AI. He's talking about the pump that happened back on December 2nd of 2025. Let's go take a look at that real quickly. Crypto, by the way, is correcting as we are live right now. Bitcoin is back down towards 91,000 after being up to 92. but not the end of the world whatsoever, as we did kind of hit our heads on some resistance from yesterday. Kind of expected a little pullback here in a nutshell. Let's go back to Ethereum, though, and take a look at what did Ethereum look like back on December 2nd of 2024. For that, we have to go back all the way, man, a long time ago. December 2nd. Let's see. Did I get that right? Maybe it said 2023. Let me look at this one more time. Make sure I have this right. No, December 2nd. Oh, no, that's today. Excuse me. The last time it happened was June 24th of 2025. Got my dates mixed up there. I apologize. Let's go to June of 2024. We're looking right in here where Ethereum had a big, big day. And of course, what he's alluding to, Ethereum would rip to the upside. This was a time period where Ethereum was so down, so out. People were so confused and bearish on the long-term trajectory for Ethereum. It, of course, would go and set a new all-time high a couple of months later in August. But ETH had a massive boom after this last time. I don't think that's a guarantee. I don't even think Crux is saying we're guaranteeing that ETH's about to make the same type of crazy big move to the upside. It is something to watch, though, as Ethereum has real momentum, the biggest momentum it's had in quite some time. It's up right now 7% on the day, but intraday, from you look at that wick from yesterday, more than 10%. Don't ignore that whatsoever. Let's start with Ethereum. I'm going to go through all my altcoins here. I'm doing better on time than I thought I would. We're sitting here at only 22 minutes in. I told you it'd be closer to 30 minutes, but maybe get to 25 here. Take a look at Ethereum right now. Ethereum is under a daily buy signal. There's a little gray dot that I think is going to go away here on the daily chart. Everything is looking quite bullish, so I'm not paying attention to that gray dot at the moment. Money flow is still positive here. I would be watching right now on Ethereum. There's going to be a big order block right up here. I let my trading group know this. Ethereum could go much higher. I think Ethereum, if Bitcoin goes up above 100K, I think Ethereum really could make a move back towards 4,000, could get back up here to 3,800. But what I would start to say, hey, look at some profit-taking potential. The order block and the smart trail top here around $3,300, like $3,290, give or take, is going to be a very interesting level. There will be sell orders here. It is a former support level that we could turn back into resistance. So again, that doesn't necessarily make this a full-blown bullish move. It just means right now, as Ethereum is being bought up, and it did have a great candle here today, the rally more than likely wants to make its way up here towards that $3,300 before it gets rejected. Again, or rejected, or it keeps going through. My thought here, I think we probably at least hesitate here, maybe have a small pullback, and then we decide, hey, does Bitcoin go above 100K? We could see Ethereum get back closer towards 4,000. But keep an eye on the 3,300 as a nice level of resistance. What about some other coins here? XRP having itself a nice day. It's up 6.5%. It's been higher than that. Obviously, there's a wick little here right above us. That's what's causing a little bit of confusion right now. I don't think that's going to be the area that we should watch for resistance. I think there's going to be argument to say, keep an eye around 243. Could be very interesting for XRP. This is one, though, XRP, I think, could have a bigger explosion to the upside. Watch for former support to be turned to resistance closer to 264. 264 is the zone that I'm watching on XRP saying, hey, I think it's very reasonable for XRP to make a move up to that level. We're seeing the same buy signals we're seeing on almost everything else. There's a lot of positive momentum happening. Let's look at the 4-hour chart here real quickly. Make sure we're still seeing some positivity there. But I think 264 is one to watch on XRP with these ETFs going live and now Vanguard clients offering XRP to their millions and millions of users. By the way, quick note on XRP, another reason to be bullish on it. Every time I talk to somebody out of the crypto world, so people who aren't even necessarily day traders, they kind of just dabble in investing from time to time, but they know I'm a crypto guy. Without fail, I never get asked, Tim, do you think it's a good place to buy Bitcoin? Tim, do you think it's a good place to buy Ethereum? Most of them have never heard of a coin like Chainlink. Without fail, every time I run into a casual investor who's asking questions about cryptocurrency, they ask me about XRP. So whether you're bullish on XRP or not, whether you love the fundamentals or not, whether you think Chainlink took away its momentum because of the deals with Swift and other banks, the reality is TradFi investors know of XRP and they think it's a phenomenal investment. So when I see headlines like Vanguard now offering it to their clients are going to look at this list and say, all right, Bitcoin, Ethereum, cool, but those ones are pretty high. They're not as volatile. I don't know what these other ones are. XRP, though, give me a little slice of that. I think XRP could have a big, big boost here. And once again, I'd be keeping my eyes around 264 for XRP resistance in play. Let's take a look at Solana here, another big one. I'm going to go a little faster here. We are at 325. Told you guys I wanted to keep this under 30 minutes here. Watch for some short-term resistance at $155. That's where this daily smart trail and that order block is sitting. Wouldn't be surprised to see us back up towards 182 or even push towards 200. But I would say the first level, you're looking at some profit taking and getting defensive. Watch that resistance around 155. How about Chainlink here? You guys know I love me some Chainlink. Chainlink doing phenomenal here. A lot of ETF news coming out. I would say first level I'm watching here, 1470. Order block, smart trail, 1470. I think we go higher. I think this move could send us back up closer towards $20 up to this order block, but I want to be defensive here. We are definitely so far away. Like people want to say right now, the bottom is in, bottom is in. I think we're doing really good right now. And there's a lot of reasons to be bullish. I think it's way too soon to say the bottom is in. And for that reason, I'm going to be defensive here with my trading, taking some profits there on 1470. We'll save some to go all the way up towards $20 if we can make that grander move. Last one I want to take a look at, of course, the addition we had here today. I think that was all of them. The last one is HBAR. Where is it on my list? It's hiding from me. Come on now, HBAR. Where did you go? I know. There we go. HBAR is right here. HBAR, we have not talked a whole lot about, but of course, this is one of the Vanguard coins to keep an eye on. There's a lot of order blocks above us, but the order block I'd be watching, the smart trail and the order block coming in at 16.97 cents, almost 17 cents for order block. That's where I'd be watching. Could we make a move up here towards 19 to 21 cents? Yes, but the first level I'm getting defensive and I'm starting to take some profits will be closer towards that 17-cent mark. Go off my screen here, Smay. That's going to kind of wrap up our TA here today. A lot of great news coming out of the markets. A lot of great things happening. Is the bottom in? I'm not promising you that, but I'm telling you right now, the daily chart is bullish. The 4-hour chart is bullish. Things are starting to heat up. The whales are buying. The manipulation played its perfect role to weed out a lot of retail investors, and now the big boys are starting to accumulate more and more crypto. I'll talk more about this tomorrow because there's even some stuff we kind of have to unpack with JP Morgan and some manipulation that they've been playing the game. But right now, that same manipulation that forced crypto to drop to the downside, crushing our portfolios, if you're not careful, you'll miss out on the manipulation that sends prices back to the upside. Guys, smash the like button. Make sure you're subscribed. Again, you got 3 more days. If you want to join the VIP trading group, get more access to myself, see daily live trading sessions with our other pro traders, learn how to scalp, how to day trade, how to read the charts, go check out that Black Friday sale in the link down below. Get up to 50% off today. I'll see you tomorrow at 3 p.m. Adios.